Good afternoon, traders and followers and subscribers to Awesomecallstrading.com. I want to welcome you all to this great chat room of ours. I can tell you right now, straight up, today was money morning. It was money morning Tuesday. I mean, it was just get out of our way and let us make our money. And I want you to share with you just maybe 5, 6, 7 calls that we did that literally, and then you can look at our trade review just on Twitter alone from a handful of traders that make money so fast in the morning. I mean, we have this gentleman here, Mr. Salim. He's got a $2,000 account, made it 10% on his money. And as you go through traders throughout the morning, Mr. Graham, he made $250 in a blink. And then, right at the open, we were just killing it. My friend, Mr. Kim, did Square and KSS, PDD on Enterprise. B Trades did great here on PDD. He bought a really good entry. The great Palmer, we all know who Palmer is, did great on Square. Square was just an absolute stunner. Dave was already done. Ismet killed it on Square. So, I mean, I'm going to just kind of walk you through a few trades that we did that were just simply magnificent. And of course, this is my Twitter feed, AJTrader7, and you can click on any of my links and they will take you right to the chat room. Try this out for a day, week, or month. So, all right, here we go. So, to this morning pre-market notes, I decided to go after. Now, the market was down about 250 points, and it was accelerating down to 350 before the market bell even rang. And as it was doing that, the stocks were just dumping, and dumping. I mean, way beyond dumping. I haven't seen dumping like that in a while. And we had PDD, Bizon, LB, MU, Roku, Square, KSS, Target, NVIDIA, Netflix, Apple, and Boeing. Now, my thesis this morning wasn't to go in and short at the open. I felt that these stocks that were just accelerating to the downside, I have traded this kind of market before many times in the last 15 years. And what you get with me is that that ability to be able to recognize where shorts are going to cover, and that the open was not more of a short, it's more of short covering. When a stock was already down the previous day, and I'll show you an example because I think you would really understand this even more. Let's just take Netflix, for instance. This is a really good lesson to learn. I want you to look at the previous day right here. Do you see how the stock on the previous day right here, hold on, let me get this out of the way so I can move my thing here. You see how it basically took a bath? You see how it gapped down, gapped up, and then pulled 2-3 days ago, right? And you see how it just kind of it's nothing but selling off, and then yesterday was just a massive acceleration, and then this morning was even more. Well, you've got a bunch of short sellers. They're going to want to cover their positions, and some of them are pretty big. And I anticipated a squeeze that the market would open up with. And I'm not just talking Netflix. I mean, I can go around the board. NVIDIA, same pattern, just massive sell-off, and I figured a nice short covering squeeze. And what happens is when you're in these other chat rooms, and the ones that you're in presently, if you're not in Awesome Calls Trading, is you don't have that seasoned veteran that really understands when shorts are going to cover. This is not buying opportunity, so to speak, because I do feel the market will continue to decline into December. But before we do that, we've got to cover some of these short positions. I mean, they're just too massive, and so I'm going to show you a stock that we did, and I did this one for free on Twitter to all of you that are listening to this. And I really was looking at Square this morning really pretty heavily. And this thing has been sold off for the last 3 days. And this morning, it just accelerated to the downside, as you can see. And so what I decided to do this morning was I decided to do a long. And I started to take a position this morning around $57.80. And when I took that position right here, as you can see, the stock did pop. Now, I didn't want to sell that because I figured that I'd actually have a little bit more downside so I could have a nice average, because I did feel that shorts would cover at the open. And also, Nomura, I believe it was Nomura. You can go right here and you can punch up Square. I made a note on Twitter, too, that Nomura had come out and actually gave a maintained rating, but lowered the price to 107. So again, we're dealing with a $50 stock that's 50% below what the analyst is thinking. So I know I'm going to get a short cover squeeze. I know I'm going to get a pop on that stock. And so I have absolutely no fear taking a position and adding on weakness. Now, when I trade, and I trade live, and I trade openly, I'm very transparent in the way I take my calls. Right? There's no funny business with me. It's this is the entry, this is where I'm adding, and this is where I want to take it. And this is really important because transparency is everything in day trading. If you're trading with somebody who is kind of wishy-washy on his calls, or he's really not trading it and he's giving you just the idea, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. If you're going to take a trade and stand by it, then good or bad, you have to take responsibility. And if this thing would have went to $50, I still would have added because I understand this trade, but more importantly, I don't full size in on my trades. I start and I start and I start. I get in there, quarter position, another eighth. Now I'm half in, and all I need to do is pop. I don't like adding in when I'm moving to the stock to the upside. I like to keep my average down, so when it pops, I'm making bank, and that's how I operate. So in this one, as Twitters, you can see I went $57.80. Also in the room, I took another position at $56. So my average was about right here around 57-ish or a tad under. Once the market opened, the stock ran to immediately ran to right at the open up through 57. So I was already green. So then it was just a matter of how much money do I want to make. Now the advantage of being in Awesome Calls is you're watching me do this, but a lot of traders in our great room, they will actually buy it and wait till it hits 56 or 55, or some of them can't trade pre-market, so they're buying the open. And if you're buying the open, you're buying it like 57 or 56.50. Bottom line, this stock made just an absolute paycheck across the board. And you can see clearly, within 10 minutes of work, we were done. It literally went from $55 to $56 all the way to $61. Imagine 250 shares at 5 points. That's $1,250 in your pocket in 15 minutes of work. How many is 250 shares? 11,000 in buying power, maybe 12,000 buying power. It was that very clear what I was doing. I didn't mind it going down more. I did not mind averaging it because I felt that shorts would cover. And I was right. But not only was I right on this call, I want you to take a look on another call I did this morning, NVIDIA. This thing has just been walloped and slaughtered for the last 4 days. And if you look clearly on our call on NVIDIA, I was all over that as well. I said on NVIDIA that I would nibble long at 134, have room to 132 at the open. Now, I really want you to look at this call. All right, this was written 30 minutes before the market even opened. Now, look how it's written: 134 to 132 on the pull at the open. So I already anticipated, go ahead and take 134, but give it room to 132. Don't get scared of it. And the stock will pop 6 or 7 points to the upside. I had 138. But I want you to see, and I was very clear, do not marry the stock, right? Because once it pops, the stock will probably give back. So I want you to just see how this just opened. And I think it'll mind blow you. Okay? So, again, here's NVIDIA. I said go long, 134. And if you take a look, 134, give it room to 132, and the stock hit 133.25. So even though I told you where it could go, don't panic. And I want you to see the opening. Boom. And remember I said 138? Well, guess what? In literally 15 minutes of work, you popped it 10 points. I want you to take a deep breath for a second. Every person in Awesome Calls Trading was offered this trade. All you had to do was pull the trigger. 50 shares is 500. 20 shares is 200. What's 20 shares? $2,500 buying power. What's 50 shares? 6,000 buying power. The entire chat room had this at their disposal. It was just a matter of executing the trade. The fear that a lot of you have when you're trading stocks that are listening to this, you're always worried the stock's going to go to zero. For something in your head, you think the stock is going to go to zero. Okay, in Awesome Calls Trading, the stock is not going to go to zero. At some point, the shorts are going to want to cover and squeeze. Okay, the stock ended up running all the way to 154 because Citron put a tweet out that he's interested in buying the stock, and he thinks that the stock is worth 160. You would see 165 before you see 120, and that's what brought up the stock even more. It was a wonderful play in our room. And great. But before Citron, it was all Awesome Calls Trading, right there. Magnificent trade. The next trade that we did was Netflix. Now this was actually an overnight and then add-on weakness. And this one, I have to be honest with you, it really tried my patience because I was down quite a bit from my overnight. As you can see, I overnighted at 267 yesterday, 267, I think 50. And then it kind of was there. It was right there. I could have broke even, but I was doing my notes and I was watching the stock just accelerate to the downside. So I added around, I believe, 258, and then I added again at 252. So I had a decent average. So I did not need much for it to pop. And like clockwork, and I was down considerably because once this pulled here, this was a quick fat finger. This is what we call a fat finger in our industry. You see the fat finger? It's just a one-time hit. Somebody's dumping. But again, our notes were very clear. You can see them right here on the video, Netflix. This is crazy. It's dropping down 15. All right. I would take some long 254. Nibble. Have room to 252 and under if it comes. I'm convinced we touch 260. So play small. You're going to make a minimum of 6 points on this trade. No ands, ifs, or buts. I got you. Okay, I got you. So now I want you to see how it worked. Ding, 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 ding. Pull, 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 pull. There's your entry here, 254. Room to 252. Even if you took 256 and you bounced it. Here's the 260 and here's 264. And the stock ended up going to 275. It was just a beautiful, within just a matter of minutes, you made your money. Really, really nice play on Netflix. Really nice play. Okay. So the next trade that we did in this great room of ours was Roku. Now, I got a lot of traders that have all types of money. And Roku is one of my favorite trades when the stock is getting banged down really hard. This one was a very safe trade. You didn't have to think much. And again, most of your mindsets out there is the stock's going to zero. Oh my gosh, it's down 5 points. It's going to zero. There's no more value in the stock. Okay. That's anxiety. That's fear. That's just an excuse. In Awesome Calls Trading, it's execute. It's execute time. And I want you to see how we laid this call out this morning on Roku in pre-market. We basically made it clear to the room that Roku was going to bounce today. So I told the room to go long at 38.25, give it room to 37, and bounce it through 40. And everyone will be happy. It's as simple as that. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. I'm not playing games. I told you the stock was slaughtered, and gapping down 450, nibble long, add at 37, don't panic. I'm going to stay with you the whole way, and the stock's going to go to 40 and above. Now I want you to see the stock. Are you ready? All right, so here we go on Roku. 38.50, 38.25 long. I said it would go through 40 in a matter of a few minutes, and I want you to see. Ding, 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 ding. Bell rang, 6:30, open, boom. It hit almost 40 within the first, I think, the first 30 seconds. All right, and then it ended up going to almost 41 for a 3-point trade. So if you took 100 shares, 3,800 buying power, you made $300 in a matter of a few minutes. If you did 200 shares, you made 600. If you did 300 shares, you made 900, and you were done. Okay, so Roku was a really good one. we're almost done here, so I'll kind of just keep with you. Another great trade that we did in the room was a stock called PDD. And most of you may not. They had earnings today. All right, but the problem with PDD is they got a lot of sellers, and a lot of people want to get out of the trade. And when you're up on earnings and it's up thin like this, I tend to want to short those, and I want to bring it down, and I want to gap fill it to 2050 or under. Then I want to go long, and I want to bounce it back to pre-market highs. How do I know that? Trade alongside me. Ask me questions, how I see it, how I present it to the chat room. Right? So this was no different for me. It was just a presentation to every chat room member in the room, and I just wanted them to follow what I was going to do. Short the stock, take it down, 2050 and under, go long, and now I want to go back to pre-market highs. All right? So I want you to see the stock. Boom, 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 boom. If you shorted the stock, you banked. If you bought at 19 and 20, you had a nice average, and guess where the stock went? It broke through pre-market highs. You want to see it in writing? PDD was our #1 pick in the room. Gapping down 3, short it to 2050. Number, keep in mind it's 2250 that we want to short it. Bring it down to 2050 and under. Watch the bottom curl, go long, and take it right back to, take it slow, and go back to pre-market highs. So I was already assuring the chat room that the stock would go to $22 plus. It was already written in stone. It was a matter of execution at that point. Okay. So the next trade that we did really, really well, that I was happy about, was we did a stock called Kohl's. None of you really don't trade Kohl's too often, but we do in this room. Oh, before I do Kohl's, I want to do Boeing. Okay? I want to do Boeing. I think Boeing is just an incredible opportunity. Okay? Now, Boeing's hit 315 and 314 has bounced historically. Very, very nice. But when you get Boeing up below 300, you have to stop what you're doing and buy the stock. And you have to take a little bit of risk. Because Boeing under 300 is just a Christmas gift. And if you have been trading for the last couple of years at least, and you've traded the name Boeing, you know that Boeing is Boeing. And you need to get in there. So I want you to see the call on Boeing. Gapping down 13. I would go long 302. I see it hitting around 300, so don't panic. Don't marry the stock, but take the stock and grab 10 points on the play. Minimum of 3 to 5 you'll make, but if it breaks through 310, it's gone. Okay? Boeing was one of the most beautiful hand-picked trades this morning, and I want you to see Boeing. You can see I had Apple too, but Boeing was simply to die for. So let's go to Boeing. If you followed the step-by-step written instructions, like building a puzzle, you pull it. Here's the 300 mark. There's the 302. Add on the pull, and I said the stock would go to 310. I want you to watch in the first 10 minutes where the stock went. All right, 300, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 310. Consolidated, broke through the flag, and guess where it went? 322. Full gap fill. Why? Because shorts are going to want to cover. And new, fresh buyers are going to want to come in and buy Boeing and own it at $300. Just a magnificent play. I think we traded over 250 points today. It was extremely difficult to be read in this room. It was extremely difficult to be read. If you overcame fear, overcame anxiety, and all these other things that you go through, and just simply followed the plan that we put together here, you would have executed with perfection on any of these ideas. And I'll give you one more. I'll give you Kohl's and Target. Kohl's missed on earnings. Target did very well on earnings, but the market was dragging them both down. And I felt Kohl's and Target would just pop back up. Calls, I said would go to 66, top off, and then short. And target, I said would go to 70, 72, and then kind of stall up there, fade a little bit back down, not too much. So all you had to do was buy the entries and add on any pullback. On calls was my more or less, I wanted to short the stock after it hit 66. So I want you to see how these two worked. And you can put calls up, and you can put target up. And I was adamant target would hit 72 this morning, 71 to 72. And sure enough, here's your entry. Told you go long at 67. Stock hit 71.50. Coles, I said, would go to 66. Stock went from 62 to 65.62. So I missed it by about 35 cents and then pulled back. So those were quick monies. Didn't have to think, just execute. And this was part of our list of 12. So as you can see, pretty much everything worked. Bazan, PDD. So tomorrow I will do this again. We have a full day of trading, and I hope you enjoyed today's 7 or 8 ideas that we did out of the 12 I wanted to show you. Thank you for joining us, and if you want to join in the room, all you got to do is click any of the links, and you're rocking and rolling. Okay? So thank you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.